Comparison is really gonna suck the life out of you. Find the joy in what you do. No matter the chaos around me, I can always remember God has good plans for me. Let me tie my hair back and let's get started. So as I mentioned in the title, we're going to be talking about how to avoid burnout as a business owner, content creator, anybody in this media space, honestly. I feel like this video will help you all to avoid burnout. And the main reason I wanted to do this video was for the simple fact that I've also gone through burnout and I kind of know my trigger signs now and also what I need to do to get out of them and how I've gotten out of them. So that's kind of why I wanted to do this video, to share it with you. The very first and best tip I can give you is to stop comparing. And I know people say that a lot and it sounds so easy because you're just like, every time you go on social media, it's like, I'm a 19-year-old and I just made 6 figures in 30 days. You're just like, how are you not supposed to compare? But honestly, that's one of my biggest things that I've realized that causes me to get burnt out, because I feel like I'm running out of time. People have said it time and time again, and I'm really starting to believe it, but comparison is really the thief of joy. Because when you start comparing yourself to other people, you begin to feel like you're not doing enough in life. You get to a point where you can't even be happy for other people because you're so like, why do they have that and I don't have that? Comparison is truly the thief of joy. And one thing that I'm gonna stop doing my makeup because I love to talk. And comparison will really make you forget how far you come, because you're comparing your story to somebody else's story who started this journey on a different path with a different story as you. And you're comparing your story to their story when truly the only person's story you should be comparing it to is yours. I recently hit 5K on Instagram. And I remember when I was around like 1K, there was this there was this makeup artist that I followed, and she was around like 5K and stuff, and I was like, wow, I can only imagine like when I hit 5K, like the connection I'll have with my audience and how like poppin' I'll feel and stuff like that. Because I was like, oh my gosh, if I could only hit 5K. I then hit 5K, and then I don't even think I batted an eye, because it was just like, whatever, like somebody else had hit 100K and I wasn't even able to like celebrate my own win. Which then leads to burnout, because you're not finding the joy in what you're doing anymore. You're just like, okay, this person is doing this, how can I do that? This person is doing this, how can I do that? All that comparison leads to burnout. And there's a saying that people say often, they say it often because it's so true. 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, you are in the season that you prayed for, but comparison being the thief of joy will make you not even realize that. And you won't even be able to bask in what God is doing and the blessing that you're sitting in, because you're so focused on like, this person is doing that and I'm not there yet. How can I get to that level? You have to cut out comparison. It's not easy. Trust me, I know. Trust me, I know. It's so easy to compare yourself because like social media is so filled with all these high achieving people, and you just think like, wow, dang, like, how can I not compare myself? The only way comparison is good is if you look at what somebody else in your field is doing and you're like, oh my gosh, God did it for them. I'm next. That's the only way you can look at comparison. Any other way is going to lead to burnout. Like later today, I've been putting off for over a month with the whole 5K on Instagram, and then I also have 4K on YouTube and then 3K on TikTok. I've been putting it off for a little bit because I'm just like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal, but it is a big deal. That's a lot of people. But again, comparison will make you think that you are not doing enough. Comparison will make you feel like you're not capable, because it's like, Sharon over there hit 10K in like 10 days. It doesn't matter. I started my YouTube channel in 2020 and I had 4,300. And while some people might have started YouTube this year and they hit 10,000 already, that's not my business. That's their business. And I don't need to look at them and compare and feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or beat myself up because maybe had I uploaded more, had I done this more and all that. Just, you have to get out of the headspace of comparison. Comparison is really gonna suck the life out of you. I have to say it that deep because it'll like a little leech. It'll just suck it out. It'll just suck the life out of you, and it's just not okay. That kind of leads us to my next point about how to avoid burnout, and that is to go outside. Like literally go outside, because social media will truly have you comparing, and you think every 19-year-old is a millionaire, every 20-year-old is making 6 figures. If you really look at statistics, the people that make that money, it's not as common as you see. You see the TikTok girls that are spending like your whole monthly income on a day out, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? And all this stuff can make you start comparing yourself to where you don't feel adequate, and you don't feel like getting out of bed because you're like, ugh, Sharon is ready. Why do I keep using the name Sharon? I don't know. Maybe Sharon offended me in the past life. My whole point being, focus on your journey, go outside. Most people are not making like 100K in a few months. Like, it's not that common. But I feel like TikTok has made it seem like everybody's doing that, and you feel like you're running out of time, and you're like, oh, I gotta go. You wake up, you wake up, you don't even. I remember there was a time when I would wake up, I will barely take my first breath like awake. I'm like, okay, gotta go. I will be right. I did not know that I was suffering from burnout because like, gotta get this money. And while there's nothing wrong with having motivation and energy and excitement for your business, I was just like, it was almost negative because I never just sat for a moment in the morning and just like sat to pray, to be still, to just, honestly, I wasn't reading my word as much as I should because it was just like, nope, gotta get up and go, gotta go get this money. And stuff like that all leads to just burnout because going that aggressively and intensively is not realistic. You have to have balance. You have to have time for yourself. You have to have peace of mind. All this stuff is what leads to burnout. You have to be really aware of what your triggers are. And I had to realize the moment I started waking up and go, I'm like, I know what's coming. I have to tell myself, okay, go back down, go sit on your bed, sit for a few minutes, play some worship songs, just chill. Because like the moment I start going like that, I know there's a downfall coming. For you, it could be like you just shut down completely, where it's like you don't want to do nothing. Be aware of your triggers ahead of time. That way, when you sense the burnout coming, you can almost like shut it down and like retreat into like a moment of stillness and like go back to like, why did you get into this? Find out what your why is and have that peace of mind so you can then like go at it from a happier perspective, or that same like one thing I always say is like, I always hope I had the same joy I did when I started this business. So whenever I'm going through that moment, I'm like, okay, tap back into that excitement that you had when you first started this one. Like all the troubles and the trials had not come along, but like you were just excited about this. Tap back into that excitement and then move forward. That's how I've helped with burnout. Truly, just like I said, going outside, stopping to compare myself. Like, I don't care that Sharon's making 6 figures in 3 months and I haven't. I don't care. That's not my business. I can't let what Sharon's doing affect me. I can't let Sharon's success now negate the fact that I did something great, even though it's not on the same scale as her. I have to realize that my success is just as valid and it's just as great. Yeah, that was a whole tangent, but my next point is make sure that you are producing more than you are consuming media. Leads into my first point as well too, with being on social media a lot and everything, but specifically this ties to you if you're a content creator. I'll go on Instagram every now and then just for research purposes to find trending sounds and all that stuff. However, I found like at times I was consuming more than I was producing. All in the name of research. Like I was telling myself, like, yeah, I'm here to find a trending sound, but realistically, I was consuming about an hour worth of media when it's like, girl, you could have spent like 15-20 minutes and found a few sounds, filmed your TikToks, filmed your reels, and gone about your day. But I kept telling myself, research purposes. While there's nothing wrong with going on Instagram for inspiration and stuff, sometimes if you're consuming so much media, if you consume that amount of media, you don't give yourself room to have creative process. You don't give yourself room to develop your own ideas because you're so flooded by like the 10,000 ideas that you just seen that like you're now trying to emulate what this person did. And one thing I'll always say, I could give the exact same timetable of what somebody did to become a millionaire in 30 days. I could give you literally like point by point and you would still not get to the same level. No two people can follow the same path and get to the same journey. It's just not possible. We look at things differently. We see things differently. So always give yourself room to grow. Go on Instagram, get motivation. Don't get me wrong. Get a little inspiration. If there's a trending audio on like TikTok or there's a trending like template, go ahead, research that. But ultimately make sure that you are always producing more than you are consuming. Some of my greatest ideas have been things that just came off my noggin. Like it weren't things like all the things that I tried to like copy because other people were doing, or I thought like, oh, they liked it because Mackenzie did that, or they liked that because Tina did that. It just, when I try to do it, it just didn't work out the same way because again, no two people can follow the same path and like get the same result. It's just not, that's just not how life works. Always give yourself room to have your own ideas and to have your own opinions on things. And that way you can then create original content that's new to you. And you also create content that you like that's meant for you. Because along with that, I realized when it comes to content creation, a moment that I suffer burnout is when I try to do what everybody else is doing. You will find the most success and the most joy in doing things that come to you naturally. I feel like you guys know this by now, but I love to chat. One thing about me, I'm gonna chat. we went out, we're having a debrief session. Like, I love to chat. That's just who I am. And I realized that like videos like that are what I like to post. And there was a video, I'm gonna add it on the screen. The funny thing about the video is like it didn't even do numbers like that, but like that video brought me so much joy. One thing that I would say to avoid burnout is do videos that bring you joy. When you find like delight and passion and joy in doing something, you're not gonna care about the other shit. You're not gonna care about what Sharon is doing or Tina's doing, or the fact that I didn't do numbers. Like, I look at that video every now and then and I go back in and I just smile because I'm like it was such a cute video. If you find joy in something, all the external stuff does not matter because you are just genuinely happy to you're just happy to be there. Like, you are just happy to be there. And not that it's impossible, but if you truly find joy and peace in something, it's almost hard to get to the burnout part, because like it's just another day where you get to create content, where you get to have fun, and it's just life is good. Out of all the points that I made in this video, if you take one away, make sure you take away, find the joy in what you do. The joy that will radiate from that, it will transpire and it will show through your content, the way you act, and people will radiate towards that. And when people radiate towards that, and when people see that, it's almost not hard for you to get to where you want to get to. My last and final point to avoid burnout, and I'm not saying my last one was very important, but this one is actually the most important one, and that is the Word of God. I can't say all that I've said without mentioning what has really truly helped me, and that is the Word of God. A common verse that I constantly go back to in terms of burnout is Jeremiah 29:11. And that's a very common verse, you've probably heard of it, where it says, oh dear, Kemi, don't butcher the Bible. Where it says, I know the plans that I have for you, they're not of disaster, but of hope and a future, and peace and sound mind, depending on the version that you read. And that's a verse that like I have to keep going back to, because one thing about the Word of God, every time you read it, you're gonna get a different meaning, you're gonna get a different translation of it. And that has been a verse that I've had to go back to, because in times when like I do kind of get sucked up in comparison, or I do kind of get sucked up in like the views are not doing as well as they thought, or I'm not where I thought I'll be, or I just haven't gone outside, like I mentioned. In moments like that, I really have to go back to the Word of God, because that's the only thing that grounds me. And I just have to tell myself, God has plans to prosper you. And this morning in my Bible time, God kind of led me to the story of, oh dear, I gotta stop butchering the people in the Bible's name. Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, where literally they were thrown into the furnace. God, I hope I'm not misquoting the Bible. Where they were thrown into the furnace and fire was going on around them, but they were still protected. That has helped me realize in terms of stress that like, no matter what is going on around me, as long as I have the Word of God and I remember and I meditate on that verse, that like God has good plans for me. He has plans for my future. He has plans that are not of disaster, that no matter what chaos is going around me, no matter if somebody gave me a rude comment, no matter if things aren't going right, no matter if I'm not where I thought I would be, no matter the chaos around me, I can always remember God has good plans for me. And that's what I thought about when I thought about that story where they were legit in the middle of fire. I read about it, literally said the fire was 7 times higher and they were untouched. That just helped me realize that like no matter the chaos around, no matter how defeated I might feel, no matter how hard life might get, God has great plans for me. And I always go back to that when I'm feeling burnout, because like God's got me. Like I can't emphasize that enough, that like God's got me. And like that alone makes me wake up, because I'm like, He's on my side. Even if things don't look well, even if things don't feel right, God is on my side. And like, I gotta get up, because if He's for me, who can be against me? Like, we sometimes read these Bible verses and they get so familiar that we sometimes forget the meaning of them. But God does not have plans of disaster for me, but He has plans for my future. Like my future, like He's got me. Like I can't emphasize that enough. Like He's truly got me. And verses like that just truly help me realize that like, okay, this might be a sucky moment. This might be a moment where you're comparison. This might be a moment where like you haven't gone outside. This might be a moment where like you just feel like you're not where you're supposed to be. I remember that verse and like it just grounds me, and I'm like, okay, let's get back into it. Let's get back into what I want to do. Let's get back into something that's going to bring me joy. I then find the joy in what I'm doing again. I then find the peace in what I'm doing again. And like nothing can compare to that, honestly speaking. So I have to go finish my makeup off camera, but I truly hope these tips that I've shared have helped you avoid burnout. Like I said, burnout is not a good thing, especially if it's about your business, your career, whatever the case might be. You want to make sure that you still have that same fire, that same joy in your eye. If you're also somebody that has dealt with burnout, feel free to comment down below and let me know how you combated that. And I know I said a lot in this video, but more than anything, I hope you take one point, and that is to lean on the word of God. That's my Christ is my firm. I'm not going to do that to y'all. But I also hope the other tips that I shared have helped you realize the signs of burnout and also things to do to avoid it. That's it for me for this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.